Welcome to those of you today that have signed in. I think you're going to find this fascinating and very focused on your industry. I think you'll find it quite valuable. We're going to take. I'm Bob McBean. I'm a partner in the Preston Willis Group, and we'll take about 30 minutes to do a presentation. Bob Graham from WavePoint. Thank you, Bob, for putting this together. And my partner, Glenn Myers, will be doing that presentation. We've allowed about 15 minutes for Q&A, but we'd appreciate you texting in through the chat box there on your screen any questions during the presentation. I'll jump in and ask them. At the end of the presentation, we'll turn that over to you. You can ask questions verbally or through the chat box. Following the presentation, within a day or so, you'll have access to a number of white papers, this presentation, and we'll send you an online survey. So I think that wraps it up. So 30 to 45 minutes, you'll have it wrapped up, and I think it's highly focused and very valuable. Bob Graham, over to you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Bob. So Bob Graham from WavePoint. How's my volume?
Good.
Good. Thanks for attending today. Looking at the registration list here of the people who responded to our emails, I've actually talked to 3-4 of you, I believe. Anyway, I won't spend a lot on just WavePoint, but you can go to our website, wavepointinc.com. You'll see that we're a full-service technology M&A company. We only work with software, hardware companies. We're worldwide. We presently have 5 clients in Australia, I think 5 in the US, 3 in Canada. We're Canadian-based, Toronto. We have a UK company we're selling patents for. We do buy-side and sell-side, mainly sell-side, and frankly, most of the rationale today, which you're going to hear about, is getting prepared for sell-side and maximizing your value. But we also do buy-side. Whether we're doing buy-side or sell-side, life comes down to a negotiation of value. And so the reason we're partnering today with PWG is that I find a lot of clients may have a business plan, may have some KPIs, may have audited financials, et cetera, but they actually don't have a benchmarking against their industry peers to say, what am I doing well, what am I not doing well, and therefore the buyer will say, holy goodness, you guys are ahead of the curve, etc. So I find the old adage, a little bit of, little bit of exercise in the morning and an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And working with PWG, they've got this great system you're going to hear about, Core Value, that allows you to benchmark yourself and get prepared for that ultimate exit if that's your goal. Even if it's just not your goal, but just you want to run a better company, probably an invaluable process to go through. So I find, in summary on this page, we find the better prepared our clients are, the more we're going to frankly get them at the end of the day when we take them forward and sell them. So what are buyers looking for? And just to name drop today, we're chatting. Well, yesterday I spoke to Salesforce.com. They're $2 billion. We're talking to Amdocs, or I think $2 billion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we talk to both buyers at the $50 million level and at the, the 10, 20, 30 billion dollar level. And what are they looking for? Ultimately, they're all looking for something, the 4 legs to the bar stool. Good people. There's no shortage. There's no oversupply of good people. And that means both technical, but frankly more important than technical, is subject matter expertise in the sector. So if your company's in supply chain and you've got a bunch of experts in supply chain, they're certainly not going to let those people go post-transaction. So that's very important. And very important that typically the management stay for at least an earn-out, because the value of the company is often perceived to be in the management team, the founders, etc. Well, they're looking for good clients, both large and small. More importantly, sticky clients that pay regular recurring revenue on multi-year contracts. Bigger clients are obviously a little more stable than clients on Visa, so there is a bit of a bias towards enterprise versus consumer. That doesn't mean consumer software isn't fantastic. Look at Twitter and LinkedIn and Google and everything else. Good technology. SaaS cloud's no longer a trend; it's mainstream. So I get the door closed if we go forward, because I hear this comment all the time, twice, 3 times a week. Bob, the company will only look at cloud acquisitions. We've got a cloud strategy. If your client's not cloud, goodbye. Literally, that's like, I'd say it's 85% of calls. They don't want to hear about the promise of the conversion and how great it's going to be. So cloud today is very important. And competitive barriers to entry, as opposed to having something that everybody else has, and then price discounting occurs. It's what's your secret sauce? This is particularly important for large buyers, because they're looking to jump start and compete with the other big company, the gorilla in the space, and they're looking for, in our case, we sell smaller companies. They're looking for competitive barriers. And then last but not least, good financials. Since 2008, it's not good enough to not have financials. I mean, basically, flat revenue growth, very little profitability, not a high recurring revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So those are some of the things they're looking for. Okay, so now I'm just going to, because we do negotiations for a living, I'm just going to walk you through some valuations and some examples, and this is a good segue into the PWG system. But if we just take a software company, and we're going to pick $1 million annually. Most of our clients are above that, but we don't have many clients over $5 million. We're going to start with 1.5 times revenue. Now that assumes, so someone calls me today, and they've got a company that's kind of good. I'm not talking about great now. I'm talking about good. 10% EBITDA, 20% year-to-year revenue growth, international, good competitive juicing, blah blah blah. We start with 1.5 times revenue. Now, the price can go up, and we've done a number of deals above 1.5, more like 2 and above. And again, we're not talking about the next Facebook or Google here. We're talking about regular software businesses, shall we say. Now, it's the key here is it's almost straightforward and simple. The price goes up if your value enhancers are strong. The price goes down if your value detractors are weak. So let me give you some examples of value enhancers, and you're going to hear more about this when I turn it over to Glenn, because part of the PWG benchmarking system is to actually look at things like value enhancers and value detractors. Well, what are some good value enhancers? Well, things like revenue per employee. I talked to a guy yesterday. His revenue per employee was $80,000 US. Well, that is like, wow, that's really bad. Revenue per employee, I mean, Microsoft's still, I think, around 600K per employee. I mean, so revenue per employee, 150K is a benchmark in the industry. I can almost tell a good company's revenue by saying how many people you got. You got 10 people, your revenue is 1.5 million, et cetera, et cetera. Recurring revenue greater than 50% of revenue. A lot of people making the cloud switch haven't got the recurring revenue up to that, shall we say, almost magical 50 or greater mark. That's something you really need to strive for. Things like that. What are value detractors? Well, if there's no growth or slow growth or no international growth, I mean, the world it's no longer just the U.S. It's the world. You know, U.S. I think is just 40% of the world's GDP now, or something like that. It's less than 50. In tech, it's still higher, but not profitable, or how to say, marginally profitable with a hockey stick forecast. Things like that are, or a crowded sector, or kind of yesterday's sector, like, you know, supply chain, warehouse management, EDI. Those are crowded sectors. Now, most sectors have a lot of competition, including 2 or 3 gorillas, but they're still expanding sectors. I'll give you an example. What's hot today? Security remains very hot. Wireless, mobile remains very hot. Collaboration, very hot. CRM, Salesforce.com, still is hot. So there's sectors also that are hot as well, and others that aren't quite as hot. Not so much you can do about that if you're in one of those sectors that aren't hot. And it doesn't mean you won't get a reasonable valuation, but there's more, shall we say, sex and pizzazz around certain things. So value enhancers go strong, it goes up. Value detractors, it goes down. And I've just given you some examples, and we're talking about here about, I gave you 3 or 4. There's probably dozens. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Glenn.
Thank you, Bob. It's Glenn Myers from Preston Willis Group. We're going to talk about a couple of things today around increasing your value, but I just thought I'd give you a short outline of what other Preston Willis services are available. We're involved with companies 3 or 4 times during their life cycle, right from the startup, where companies are looking to raise the initial funding. We have worked with clients over the years where we've been involved in helping them get packaged up and raise the money to get the business started. We do a lot of work in early growth companies, helping them drive the top line revenue. We have activities and packages of services that are focused strictly on driving revenue. Today we're going to talk about a couple of things involved in improving your asset value and getting you positioned for liquidity. That's going to be our focus today. So we look to unlock the hidden value in your company. Bob mentioned in the last couple of slides that starting with a valuation of 1.5 times revenue, it can go up and down based on business drivers. We look at trying to find not only the obvious, but some of the not so obvious value within a company. And we look at value as the ability of the business to dependably generate revenue and profit into the future. Often, and most often, people look at a business and say, well, you know, the value of this business is some multiple of EBITDA or revenue based on the trailing 12 months. And then I've got this wonderful plan that's going to generate free cash flow in the future, so I'm going to put all of that stuff together, and that's what I want for my business. It's very hard to defend the second half of that valuation, the future part of it. And we work to look at the things within a business that determine whether the business is going to continue to generate revenue on a dependable basis. And it's important whether you're looking at selling your business or whether you're looking at buying a business or just building it up and tuning it up. You know, if you're in a sell mode, it's fairly obvious why you want the valuation to be as high as possible. But equally, if you're in a buy mode, you want to make sure that your business is valued proportionally greater than the company you're trying to buy, so that you get better discount on buying them and better value in putting 2 companies together. But you could use some of these tools that we're going to talk about if you're just reorganizing, if you're looking to raise money from outside investment, or if you're looking to get your company moving in the same direction, all your management staff. These tools help do all that. So we do this with a 60 to 90-minute business value assessment as a starting point. And we are aiming to figure out what the transferable enterprise value would be and what the gap is between the ideal valuation for your company in your business sector and what you look like based on the assessment that we've just done. We create that value gap. We create what we call red flags, which are those things that, if not fixed, would absolutely impede your ability to sell the business. And not only that, we create out of this a roadmap that allows you to take a look at each one of these value drivers, see what has to happen within that facet of your business in order to improve your valuation. So we start with 18 value drivers. 9 of them are internal and 9 of them are external. And for each value driver, we start with a single multiple choice question. We then drill down to a second and third level, which we'll talk about. But after the first 18 questions, and the answers to those questions are assessed and passed through the algorithm, we can give you the ideal value for your business in this sector, how you measure up to your competition in the sector, and what your valuation would be based on your answers. So if we take a look at one of these questions, this one happens to be barriers to entry. They're very easy to deal with, very easy questions. You don't need to put a lot of time into research. You don't need to do a lot of analysis to answer the questions. They're pretty simple. It's fairly obvious to everyone that the more barriers to entry there are, the better off you're going to be. So there's 5 choices, from it's almost impossible to get into our market to anybody could do it. So you select where you would be within those range of answers. You answer the question and you move on to the next one. What's actually happening within the software is we're starting by determining what the normalized value of a company in your sector would be. So there's a database of valuations that have been put together historically from companies that Core Value Software has worked with, as well as from other research that's available. So depending on your sector, and we're talking to software companies, so there's pretty normal multiples of EBITDA and revenue that are used to determine the value of a software company. So we figure out what the normalized range would be from the low for a high risk, low value sale to the high for a strategic sale. Everybody wants obviously to be in the strategic range, and so we're going to talk about some of the ways to get there as well. So the first thing is to pick the industry, determine what the range of trading would be in that industry, and then answer the 18 questions, one level questions, very quickly, 60 to 90 minutes, and we produce a score that is the core value rating, and it's based both on the overall score as well as the operational and market drivers, the internal and external. So you can see how you rate on the scale of very weak to very strong. In this particular example, the core value rating up in the top right box is a 74 rating, which is a pretty high rating. And then based on the rating, we determine what the value of the business is today and what the potential value is, and create the value gap, which is the bottom right quarter of the screen. The dashboard that you work with when you're using the software looks like this. This is what you would normally see. Across the top, we have tabs that you can click on. There's the dashboard, which is where we are now. The workbook, task, and vault tabs are the other tabs that that you would normally use. The workbook is the drill down on the 18 questions to 2 other levels, and you can get in there and move around through the software without going through it sequentially. The tasks tab is going to show you the tasks that have to be accomplished in order to deal with some of the issues that have been raised. And the Vault tab is really just it's a large cloud-based storage area where you store the documentation that you have created to deal with the issues that have been raised, so that by the time you've been through the software, you've drilled down in the 18 value drivers to quite a detailed level. You've identified the problems, you've fixed the problems, and you've stored the documentation in the Vault. So if you're looking to a company like WavePoint to help you with liquidity, to sell the company for you, you're going to be able to go to them and say, here's what I look like, here's all the documentation to support it, and here's what the core value valuation says that I'm worth. Now, to be clear, this is not a proper third-party valuation that you would hire somebody to do if you were in a partner breakup or some of those other things where you really need one. This is an estimate based on best practices and historic information that we have. So if we look at this screen again, on the far left, top left, there's the overview, which indicates this particular company is in the manufacturing business. Their revenue and their profit are the only numbers that they had to put in to use the software. It gives us their enterprise value, the potential value, and the gap. And it shows it graphically as well in the center and on the far right. On the bottom left, you'll see a progress box. So when you first start with the software, you go through the first 18 questions, you put your information in. As you go through using it and creating the vault with the documents that support the tasks that you've done, the valuation is going to change. You're going to go up and down based on your activity. The red flags we mentioned is on the far right, and those are things that must be fixed if you want to move forward and increase your valuation. You can't ignore those. They have to be dealt with. In the bottom center is just a listing of the critical drivers and assigns a value to each one of those. So if you correct the sales and marketing issues, you're going to increase your valuation by $400,000 versus down in the bottom, the market share one, you're just going to get over $200,000 for that. So this is another look at that same slide. This is important because it allows you to rank these value drivers based on the most value you're going to get for the task down to the least, or in any other way. You can look at them and you can attack the ones that you're most comfortable with first, which is pretty typically how people are used to doing things. If the company is driven by a sales and marketing person, they're going to focus their energies there. If the company is driven by a financial person, they're going to focus their energies there. But you can jump around the software and fix these in any order. One of the things that we like to take a look at is this report, which ranks them based on, you can rank them based on the bang for the buck. So you can determine that market definition is only a $57,000 gap there. But if you fix that, you're going to get the most value out of it, in that it's going to cost less to fix that and get that $57,000 than perhaps fix the brand image, which is going to give you double the value, but it's going to take a lot more money to fix it. So you can sort these and pick and choose which areas you're going to put your effort into first. The other thing you can do on this particular report is you can double click on the actual task, and it brings up some suggestions as to what to do to fix it. Defines what the task is and creates some suggestions for you, and you can then create a to-do list, which you can use to create a workflow to get these things done, or you can use it to pass it off to other people in the company to accomplish these things. So this is an example of the report on the vault. We talked about that. This is an uploaded report on revenue. So when you open up the vault, you can look and see what's in there. If you're working with a team in your company and you have other people doing this with you, you can track their performance against these objectives, go in and see what's there. You can review it and determine whether or not it satisfies the task at hand. So that's a very quick overview on what the software does and how it looks. What we would like to do is meet with each of you on the phone. We would be very happy to give you the initial assessment of the 18 business value drivers, give you that phase of the software, let you go through it. You can enter your own information in there. You can create your value gap, and then we would be very happy to discuss that with you and suggest how you might proceed and what you might do in order to improve your position. Bob, any questions come in while we were chatting, or does anybody have any questions at this point?
Thanks for asking, Glenn. Sorry, I was just muted there for a moment. But so the answer is no. I just clarified a couple of minor things. One question was, is this recorded? It is. It'll be available to you, along with white papers, the actual presentation, and the recording. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Bob. As always, nice job. Are there any questions? I think everyone's unmuted now. You're welcome to jump in or type a question in the chat box. Feel free to grill these guys. It'd be my pleasure to see them squirm. Come on, you got to ask a tough question here. Anybody? Glenn, I didn't recall you mentioning what would be the typical process, like the time frame, to get some, a reasonable feel for what you're faced with. Not to correct everything, just a reasonable feel.
Well, you certainly can get the high level 30,000 foot view within 90 minutes. from there, you'd go to the assess phase, which is about another 70 questions over those 18 value drivers, which take a little more time and thought to go through, but probably, it depends on whether you dive in and do it all at once or whether you do it sort of over a period of time. But typically, most people that we've been working with have been doing the very first engage phase, which is the 60 to 90 minutes. About 60% of the people that go through that then carry on to the engage and the assess and track functions, and that could take maybe another 30 days to go through if you put some effort into it, and then another 30 to 60 days to go through starting to put the improvements in place. Now, obviously, some of the improvements are going to take much longer than that, but you can knock off I guess the easy ones probably if you go through a 60 to 90 day process.
So the 30-day process, how many hours would you have to put in? You're not working on that all day, every day.
No, and
so would
frankly,
that be like? Okay, sorry, Glenn, go on.
It really depends a lot on whether you're doing it on your own or whether you're doing it with a team. We find the more people involved in doing it, the longer it takes, because there's a lot of debate on how to answer these questions because they are multiple choice. And if you have 2 or 3 people in the session going through them, you have 2 or 3 opinions generally, and so you have to debate them and go through them. So it could take a long time. If you're doing it, one person doing it, they make the decisions relatively quickly. So, probably in 6 or 7 hours, you've gone through the second level, the assess level, and you have a pretty good handle on what you have to do. Okay,
good. So, but if it's a team, it can cause a lot of discussion.
Absolutely, and some of the applications of the process are to try and bring teams together. So the discussion is a valuable part of the whole exercise.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions from anybody else?
Is there a question here in the typed area?
Yes, so Bob, you probably should take that on as it applies to valuation.
Right.
Oh, here.
So John,
sorry, I hadn't scrolled down. Yeah, I see that question. I just didn't scroll down enough. Okay, Bob, you going to jump in?
Yeah, I will, and please augment my comments as you wish. John, thanks for your question. Valuations are, how would I say it, today, recurring revenue, trailing revenue, subscription model is obviously extremely important. It would be a very high percentage of evaluation versus forward revenue for projects in the backlog. So the emphasis would be on proven performance. Like literally I say, if you've got 50, 60, 70% recurring revenue, you've only got to sell 30% to make your budget number. Versus if you're 50-50, you got to in 2014 you got to go sell 50% of your revenue. More pressure on your salespeople, et cetera, et cetera. So recurring revenue is to die for. Your banker will love it. Future recurring revenue based on proven track record, he'll also love that because you can extrapolate the 2 dots on the curve, if you will. I would say further to this, what buyers don't like, I'd say more and more of them are not wanting a high percentage of services, in other words, labor. So if your model is, pick a number, $10 million, of which $9 million is software revenue and related products, and $1 million is services, that's okay. But if you're 50% services and 50% software, then you really get discounted on the labor part because you got to sell those guys at $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 a day continuously. And so I'd say I'm detecting a bias in the marketplace to say, give me software, recurring cloud model, revenue recurring, and I'll overpay. And some of the numbers you see published, by the way, are good cloud companies are going for 7-8 times revenue. If you get the right buyer, the strategic buyer, the right sector, You know, you're a small company with great potential but proven recurring revenue. And then some of them, there was a deal the other day done at 20 times revenue. They aren't the ones you should focus on because they're kind of out of the, how do I say it, they're over the moon. But they are occurring. They are occurring. And certainly cloud subscription revenue is will definitely increase valuation. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Bob. Any further questions, points of clarification? You just want to be mean and ask these guys something? No, I guess that's it then. So, Glenn, this stuff will be available in about a day.
Yeah, one to 2 days. It should be all coming out.
Good. Okay. So there'll be some nice white papers for you, focused on your sector, along with the presentation, and of course a survey. We'd appreciate some feedback. That's great. So unless there's another question, you guys have any other final comments? I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for attending, everyone, and
Yep.
we'll be happy to talk to you if you get the material and you'd like us to send you the link to try the software out. We're happy to do that.
Great. Thank you, Glenn.